Taiwan's eastern coast earlier this morning, toppling buildings mostly in the eastern county of Hualien, the epicenter, and setting off a series of tsunami warnings and landslides. Taiwan's national government is now focusing on rescue efforts with more than 50 people still missing. Dozens were also trapped in highway tunnels.
I would like to ask each department to continue to pay close attention to the situation in various places, initiate various contingency efforts at any time, and protect the safety of our countrymen. The National Army will also provide support. The central and local governments will cooperate with each other to minimize the impact of the disaster. At this time, when there are frequent aftershocks, the government must ensure the accuracy of information and provide timely assistance to people in need so that people can feel at ease and safe.
Here in the Philippines, PHIVOLCS has already lifted a tsunami warning for coastal communities in Batanes, Cagayan, Ilocos Norte, and Isabela. The advisory was issued right after the earthquake that hit Taiwan. The agency says effects from the tremor have largely passed. In a tweet, President Bongbong Marcos said the Department of Migrant Workers is ensuring the safety of over 159,000 OFWs in Taiwan, and that the Philippines stands ready to assist and support all Filipinos there in any way possible during this difficult time. He also extended his sympathies to the people of Taiwan.
It's not just Taiwan. The massive quake was also felt around the region, including in China, particularly in the province of Fujian. The earthquake triggered tsunami alerts and prompted suspensions in train line operations. People in Japan's Okinawa prefecture were also instructed to flee to higher ground as part of tsunami precautions. Their meteorological agency was also warned about the possibility of more earthquakes in the coming days.
In the past observations, the possibility of similar earthquakes occurring after the major earthquakes are from 10 to 20%, so please be careful of the earthquakes for another 1 week. Especially in the next few days, it is highly likely to have a large earthquake. If a strong earthquake occurs under the ocean, we have to be careful of a tsunami.
This is the strongest earthquake since 1999, specifically September 21, 1999. That was the last 7 magnitude earthquake that hit Taiwan. That was 7.7 and killed 2,400 people with tens of thousands injured back then. So hopefully we don't see those kinds of numbers this time around.
The death toll is at 9. I believe 50 missing, and a lot were also trapped in tunnels.
Yes. So I guess we'll have to wait a few more days until we get the final count or casualty count.
Pero kanina, yung mga kasama ko sa isang building, natatakot sila, napapraning sila because we're very near to Taiwan. Mas malapit yung Batanes sa Taiwan kaysa sa Batanes to mainland Luzon.
Yes, that's true. On a clear day, there's a spot in Taiwan where you can actually see Batanes. Pero yun nga, kakatapos ng earthquake drill, national earthquake drill recently, iniisip ko lang, we've been waiting and with trepidation for the big one, which is anything above 7 magnitude na earthquake. So again,
Knock
time
on
to
wood,
refresh.
hopefully it doesn't happen here. Now, one of the most important industry that Taiwan has is, of course, electronics and semiconductors. And there's been questions raised about what kind of an impact that will do, the earthquake will do. It's still a little too early to say, but there have been statements issued by the major tech companies now. Foxconn, for instance, says there's been no damage to their manufacturing gear. It is, of course, the world's largest contract electronics maker, and you know it as the maker of iPhone, the iPhone assembler. TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Corporation, also saw its shares drop today because it said its staff at its factories in Hsinchu, which is southwest of Taipei, may possibly have been affected, although at this point we know that they've also returned to the office after being evacuated earlier.
We do know that they are part of that huge semiconductor
Yes.
industry chain.
One of the biggest, actually. But the most interesting thing, I think, about this whole thing is that Taiwan actually rebuffed China's offer of help. Taiwan's Mainland Affairs Council said in a short statement, and I quote, "We noticed that the mainland's Taiwan Affairs Office had expressed concern about the earthquake in the waters off Hualien this morning. We greatly appreciate its concern, but there is no need for the mainland side to assist us in disaster relief."
Not entirely surprising given Taiwan's president, at least until May, Tsai Ing-wen has, been quite outspoken against Beijing in all her tenure. Let's try to get some more updates on the situation there. We have with us tonight via Zoom Gilda Banugan. She is the chairperson of the group Migrante in Taiwan, and she's coming to us live from Taipei. Gilda, good evening.
Hi, good evening. Good evening to everyone.
Gilda, thanks for making time to speak to us. First things first, kamusta ka na? How are you and your family and your friends? What's the situation like over there?
So far ngayon, okay naman po kami. Unlike this morning, talagang nagpanic everyday. Ganun po kasing nangyayari na lagi tayong sinosurprise ng lindol. So I think this morning was the very strong earthquake we encountered for working here for 9 years, almost 9 years. So ito yung pinaka-first time na talagang ang lakas ng impact ng lindol. And after that, nagkakaroon po ng mga aftershocks. And ngayong hapon, medyo umupa na po, medyo nagiging normal na po.
What were you doing when the earthquake first hit?
Well, we were in the house with my employers, and they're actually going to do work. Also, the kids go to school. So, nagkaroon ng panic and nagtatago po kami sa ilalim ng tibol. And then after that, yun, medyo nagkakaroon kami ng pagpapanik talaga.
Gilda, can you tell us yung difference dyan sa Taiwan after tumama ng earthquake? Like, even before tumama yung earthquake, what kind of awareness seminars dito? Kasi sa Pilipinas, uso sa atin yung duck, cover, and hold. Ganun yung turo ng gobyerno. Similar ba dyan? And ano yung protocol na sinasabi pa ulit-ulit ng gobyerno dyan na kung tumama nga isang lindol, ano yung gagawin ninyo?
Well, actually, pagka nagyanig po, sumabay po yung drill, yung notification sa aming mga mobile phone na mayroong mga ganong ganap. But this time, hindi po lahat nakakatanggap ng notification. Like me, hindi ako nakakatanggap ng notification, pero may mga iba na nakakatanggap. And after that po, hindi naman yung totally din na nagpapanik yung mga tao, yung gobyerno nila talagang before sila maglabas ng statement and announcement, minimake sure po nila na natatackle na yung mga plano before nila sinabi sa mga media, sa mga report.
Gilda, give us a sense of how Filipinos are. Gaano kalapit sila mula dito sa epicenter ng Hualien? Kayo po, saan po kayo banda? Yung pagkamusta niyo po sa kanila, ano pong sinagot nila sa inyo?
Sa may area po kasi ako ng Taipei, and may mga kababayan din po tayo sa may bandang Hualien. And after that, meron po kasi kaming mga group chat ng every county. So, for example, meron kaming mga group chat ng mga groups ng mga caregivers. Meron din po kaming group chat ng groups sa mga factory workers. So, at the same time, pag nangyari yung mga ganun sa kuna, madali po namin silang makontak, madali namin silang makukumusta kung nasaan sila banda, kung ano yung kalagayan nila. At nagbibigayan po ng mga updates
So
po.
lahat po ay sumagot naman agad-agad? Wala
Yes
naman
po,
tayo?
pagka may mga ganong senaryo, sila mismo po immediately nagbibigay ng update sa mga kaganapan kung ano yung nangyayari. So, yun po, yun yung kagandahan kasi nagkakaisa yung ating mga Filipino migrant workers
So
dito.
sa ngayon, wala po tayong naitatalang injured or any reports of casualties. Tama po ba?
Basically, dun po sa report na 7 people's dead. Doon sa more than 50 or 60 na yata yung but this evening kasi yung natatanggap natin is more than 700 na po yung mga injuries, and sana ipagdasal po natin na walang mga kababayan na naaapektuhan, pero tuloy-tuloy pa rin po yung search and rescue team po.
Okay, Gilda, so tama nga yung sabi ni Hans Kakdak mula sa Department of Migrant Workers na wala nga daw natamaang Pinoy, considering 159,000 tayo dyan sa Taiwan. Having said that, would you hear ano pa ba yung sitwasyon ng mga Filipinos na, yun nga, nakatira bandang Hualien, kung sira ba yung mga tinitirahan nila or tinutuluyan nila, yung trabaho nila, na-cancel ba muna?
Sa contact po natin doon, tuloy pa rin po yung trabaho sa mga hindi naman naaapektuhan. And meron din po tayong mga nako-contact doon na nasisira din po yung kanilang yung bahay, yung nagkaroon ng major na mga basag-basag, yung mga ganun. Pero doon po kasi sa nag-collapse na building, wala pa tayong nakukuhang details kung merong mga migrants na nakatira din doon.
Okay.
Hopefully wala po.
Kamusta naman after the earthquake, which was early this morning, Gilda? Nakalabas ka na ba ng bahay at nakita
Yes
mo ba?
po.
Nakapaglakad? Kamusta yung itsura ng Taipei ngayon? Ganun pa rin.
Well, basically kasi dapat medical check-up ko today. So, lumabas ako kasi papunta ako ng hospital, and then after 10 minutes, tumawag ang hospital sa akin na i-cancel yung aking appointment and isi-settled next week. So, pero nasa labas na po ako, yung metro, yung train po. Every time po na tumatakbo, nag-i-stop po siya. So, yung long line po ng train from Taipei bound to Hsinchu, to Taichung, ang bagal po ng takbo. At the same time, ang layo ng agwat ng delayed, minsan 40 minutes delayed, minsan more than an hour delayed. And this morning ang nangyayari yan hanggang 2:00 ng hapon, but now unti-unti nang bumabalik sa normal po yung travel ng mga tao. Kasi start bukas is holiday. Children's Day dito hanggang Friday. So mahabang bakasyon hanggang Sunday to. Kaya yung mga tao nasa yan sila, nasa on the way for travel. Actually may mga iba na papunta sana ng Hualien. Pero yung iba nagka-cancel ng travel, and yun, kaya medyo crowded po ngayon yung mga transportation natin dito.
Gilda, you said 9 years ka na dyan. Give us a better sense of how often you feel these earthquakes. I mean, it sounds like sanay na kayo, but still, this was a big one. But how often does it occur there?
Actually, kasi sa isang taon, 1 beses, 2 beses namin nararanasan. Hindi lilipas yung taon ng walang earthquake na nangyayari po dito.
Pero kung ikukumpara po natin...
Mostly po nangyayari siya after Chinese New Year or before the Chinese New Year. So yun po, mga nasa buwan ng January to March, mga ganun po.
Kung ikukumpara po kasi natin noong 1999, parang libo-libo po yung namatay. Ito po, ang latest po natin, I think nasa Shawn na tao.
Yes.
Handa ang mga kumbaga ang mga
Seems they're
tao
better
doon, no?
prepared
Ano
this
pong
time.
na-observe po ninyo?
Kung maalala niyo po last time na meron ding nag-hit na lindol sa bandang Hualien at meron tayong kababayan na namatay. So parang after that nagiging mahigpit yung infrastruktura nila dito pagdating sa mga condominium, parang chine-check na nila. Meron po silang mga checking dito to make sure na safety yung kanilang mga bahay.
And then, so initially, when it was happening, you ran under the tables, pero right after that, nag-evacuate naman kayo?
Yes po. And meron po yung mga ano dito, yung mga house, mga buildings ng condominium na meron din po silang mga evacuation area sa baba.
So you knew right away saan pupunta?
Okay,
Yes
Hilda,
po.
you're part of Migrante dyan sa Taiwan. Chairperson po kayo. Gaano kadami dun sa 159,000 Filipinos na yung members ninyo? And nabanggit mo nga yung brigade ninyo, how you keep in touch. But I was just curious.
I-clarify po natin, it's not 159. Base sa record po natin is nasa 165,745 na po lahat ng mga Filipino migrant workers dito sa Taiwan. And meron po tayong groups na tinatawag natin sa mga caregivers. Meron po kami tinatayo na National Domestic Workers Union. And nagkakaroon po kami ng bawat member na mayroong isang representative na mag-ookupa sa kanila na magkakumusta every time. And nagkakaroon po kami ng monthly checking with them, to call them, tatawagan namin yung mga cellphone number para kumustahin sila. And sa mga manufacturing din po, ganun din po yung ginagawa natin. So, sa mga national domestic workers natin dun sa mga home base, mga caretakers and caregivers, meron na po kaming more than 100 members and ganun din po sa mga factory workers. And iba pa po yung sa mga fishermen.
Ang estimate nyo po na reach po ninyo, yung mga mini-message nyo, mga ilan po?
Marami po kasi hindi lang siya as a member of Migrante, meron pang ibang mga members na nagkakaroon ng contact sa atin. So, basically, mga nasa 400, 500,000 pa nga po eh.
Okay. All right, we're gonna have to leave that there for now. But thank you so much for talking to us tonight, and please stay safe out there. That was Migrante Taiwan Chairperson Gilda Banugan.
Well, up next, the manhunt continues for Pastor Apollo Quiboloy, who is nowhere to be found as authorities tried to serve the arrest warrants at his known residences in Davao. More when we return. Jenny Dongon. Jenny, what exactly happened today?
Gretchen, the NBI and the Davao City Police have served the arrest warrant issued by Regional Trial Court against Kingdom of Jesus Christ founder Apollo Quiboloy. But until now, they have yet to locate the location of the pastor. We managed to join the NBI as they enter the Big Dome, which is one of the compounds owned by KOJC in Davao City. They were there to implement the arrest warrant against Quiboloy that was issued by the Davao Regional Trial Court.
So the Pastor Quiboloy, hindi po natin nakita, sir. Na nag-serve tayo sa...
During the service of search warrant, negative sa Pastor Quiboloy. We don't have any information as to his whereabouts as of this time.
The RTC released 2 arrest warrants on April 1. The first is for charges of child abuse, wherein 5 other associates of the pastor were co-accused. A News 5 exclusive report says 3 of them, Crescente Canada, Sylvia Simanias, and Pulin Canada, were arrested earlier today but have already posted bail this afternoon at 80,000 pesos each. The other arrest order for Quiboloy cites sexual abuse charges, and there Quiboloy is the only one accused. The warrant of arrest order showed that it was supposed to be enforced last March 14, but this was held off due to a supposed motion for reconsideration filed by Quiboloy's camp before the Justice Department. But the regional court did not receive a resolution from the DOJ by the end of March, which is why the Davao court immediately ordered for the arrest warrant to be issued, saying that they found a probable cause in the case against Quiboloy. The 2 cases against the pastor are bailable. The child abuse charge has a bail amount of 80,000 pesos and 200,000 pesos for the sexual abuse charge. According to the court, Pastor Quiboloy must personally appear before the RTC to post bail. The Davao City Police says they will ensure that there will be no special treatment for Quiboloy once he's arrested.
Wala kaming kinikilingan, ma'am, ano kung prominente ba na siyang tao or ordinary. Yung sa amin lang, ma'am, whatever the orders, instruction from the higher office, we will follow, ma'am. No special treatment yan, ma'am, no? Just in case ma-arrest siya, mayroon kaming custodial facility dito sa headquarters. Meron din kami sa station kung saan siya ma-arrest.
The Davao City Police is also on standby should they need to assist the Senate Sergeant-at-Arms in enforcing the separate arrest order against Quiboloy. Gretchen, Senator Risa Ontiveros says Quiboloy's happy days are numbered as most of the agencies in the country are working to hold him to account. Gretchen.
We will be keeping up to date with that. Thank you so much for that report, Jenny Dongon.
Well, NBI Davao Director Archie Albao spoke to our sister program StoryCon this afternoon and said that yes, Quiboloy is officially a fugitive. They also think he's still in the country.
Hindi man natin siya na-arresto ngayon, it will be considered as fugitive from justice, no? based sa inisyo na warrant of arrest ng court. Balita namin, nandito pa siya sa Pilipinas. In fact, yung mga sasakyan niya, kasali yung aeroplano at saka helicopter, andito pa. No? Meron tayong mga information, nandito pa.
Right, and here's an update on the Chocolate Hills fiasco. The Environment Department was in the hot seat during the Senate investigation into the resort within the Chocolate Hills in Bohol. Lawmakers blame the DENR for the mismanagement of the protected area. Camille Samonte with the rest of that story. Hi, Camille. What did the senators have to say to the DENR?
Matagal na raw pabaya ang DENR. This was the claim of Senator Raffy Tulfo during the hearing of the Senate Committee on Environment, Natural Resources, and Climate Change on the controversial construction of resorts in some protected areas. According to the senators, the DENR is not fulfilling its duty to protect the environment. The agency itself allegedly issued the Environmental Compliance Certificate or ECC for the construction of a resort in the Chocolate Hills in Bohol.
Matagal na pong naging pabaya kayo dyan sa DENR. Hanggang ngayon, patuloy pa rin sa pagiging pabaya. Lumilitaw tuloy na kayo po yung mga protektor ng mga nagsisirang kalikasan.
At the moment, ang dating sa aming lahat on paper lang tong konsepto ng protection. Walang actual implementation.
There are also some resorts in Mount Apo Natural Park in Davao City that reportedly lack proper documents. Despite this, the owners of these resorts are said to be only fined by the DENR with a penalty of 50,000 pesos.
Hindi rin nga sila natatakot kasi alam nila magbabayad lang naman kami ng 50,000 pesos eh.
According to the DENR, the Protected Area Management Board, which is composed of barangay officials, is responsible for issuing permits for the construction of resorts in Mount Apo Natural Park in Davao City.
But ECC, completely DNR yan. Ha? So, wag nyo ipalusot yan. Pati kayo kasali.
Mahilig kayo dito magturuan, kundi magturuan maghugas ng kamay. Ang pinakalas, sinabi niyo po, Secretary Loizaga, it was before your term, okay? Sige, granting gano'n na nga. Now, ikaw na nakaupo at alam mo may mga violation, correct it. Wag no, don't blame other people. Don't blame the previous administration.
In response, DENR Secretary Yulo Loizaga denied the allegations, saying that they have already investigated the illegal resorts and suspended all ECC applications in protected areas.
We are not pointing fingers here. We are acknowledging the facts on the ground. We are acknowledging the gaps in the law, and we are acknowledging also the possible gaps in our implementation, having seen that, in fact, these structures were erected even if these are in protected areas.
Shawn, Secretary Loizaga also wants to change the members of the Protected Area Management Board. She mentioned that barangay officials do not fully understand the implications of granting ECCs in protected areas. Resort owners, meanwhile, will be given the opportunity to explain in the next Senate committee hearing. Shawn?
Thank you so much for that update, Camille Samonte.
We're going to pause for a quick one right now, but right after that, what can we expect from EO57, which seeks to beef up our maritime policy? We'll get answers from Secretary Andres Centino, former AFP chief and current presidential assistant for maritime affairs. Keep it here.
different kind. Questions are being raised about the foreign aid provision of EO57, which created the National Maritime Council. Senator Amy Marcos called it a Trojan horse, while others have asked whether it's tantamount to foreign intervention. And to help shed some light on that, we have with us former AFP Chief of Staff and Presidential Assistant for Maritime Concerns, General Andres Centino. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining the big story tonight.
Yeah, good evening, Gretchen, Regina, and Shawn. Thank you for having me in your show.
General, first, let's have you react to what Senator Amy Marcos said about EO57, that this may be a Trojan horse, that it's vulnerable to foreign intervention.
Well, yeah, the Executive Order 57 was signed by the President and made effective the 25th of March of this year. It is actually a repeal of another executive order of the same number, but actually it's an old executive order, a series of 2011. And the President signed a new one. It's also the same number, Executive Order 57. And this created the National Maritime Council. And yes, one of the provisions therein included authority for the National Maritime Center to accept donations and grants. I would say that this provision was already in the previous executive order, the old executive order series of 2011. It was carried over with this new executive order. So I don't suppose that that could be seen in a bad light. But rather, I would like to think that this is an acknowledgement that we seek help from like-minded countries who would also offer their assistance to us. We have done this before, and we actually have donations and grants accepted. In fact, the current National Coast Watch Center building is one of these grants and donations given by donors.
Okay. All right. Tinignan ko po yung luma, National Coast Watch Council yun. Tapos ito nga po yung National Maritime Council. Medyo magkalapit yung versions na yun. What's the difference? Why was there a need to reissue the EO57?
If you recall, Gretchen, the arbitral ruling came out in 2016. That was before. That was after the old executive order. Now we are having a new one to make sure that we are compliant with international law, that we abide by what is included in the ruling. So that's a big difference, because it will show that we are in the crafting of our maritime strategy. We will be proactive, we will be assertive, and as I've said, we are adhering to international law and rules-based order.
Right, but General, napasama kasi dun sa listahan ng maraming agencies who are already part of the old National Coast Watch nadagdag yung mga defense security agency. So, syempre mapapaisip tayo kung medyo nagre-reconfigure, nagre-rebalance towards a more defensive position itong Maritime Council, the new one.
The composition of the council is more or less the same, with an addition of about 2 more cabinet level members. This is now the new composition of the council, which is still headed by the executive secretary, and we have 12 select cabinet members composing the council. I would express that this new executive order emphasizes more on maritime security and maritime domain awareness, which is what we need. Actually, it is important that we are able to monitor what's in and around our maritime boundaries. In the previous executive order, we focused more on maritime security, but this time we included maritime domain awareness to ensure that if we have to secure, we are able to also understand what's happening in and around our peripheries.
I get that the foreign aid provision was present in the older versions of the EO, but considering that the president wants to boost defense capabilities urgently, what does that mean moving forward? Does that mean the council will be proactively soliciting aid, grants, loans, for instance, from other countries?
Even without the solicitation, there have been countries, there have been allies and partners that have expressed their intent to assist or to help us in terms of donations and grants. These are like-minded countries that share our values, that also is concerned of the security of the region. And it doesn't have to take for us to ask for these donations. We have already willing allies and partners that would assist us in our efforts to secure our maritime area.
Yeah, that's true, no? Kasi over the last 12 months or so, countries like the US, Australia, Japan, even India have offered assistance with maritime security. You're absolutely correct. I wonder if you could give us a better idea of the kind of assistance that they're offering. What exactly are they?
Well, in terms of our capability to improve our maritime domain awareness, these are like the sensors or the radars that are needed to know what's coming in and out of our maritime boundaries. This could be in other platforms, like let's say satellites that would provide us with the needed information on what's going in and out of our boundaries.
General, in terms of jurisdiction, how does this change things? Kasi for example, nakikita po natin madalas yung Philippine Coast Guard, nagsasalita sila tungkol sa mga issues. Nakikita po natin si Secretary Malaya, nagsasalita rin po siya na National Task Force for the West Philippine Sea. Does this kind of centralize everything? Will directions come from the National Maritime Council? For one, sabi po ni Commodore J. Tariela, magbabago raw po sila ng strategiya pagdating sa mga RORE mission. Galing na po ba dito sa NMC yung plan of action towards the West Philippine Sea?
Well, in the provision of the executive order, the National Task Force on the West Philippine Sea will still be there, but it will act on the directions of the President through the National Maritime Council this time. So this is we have a very deliberate and comprehensive and a cabinet level decision making that would provide the guidance or perhaps recommend to the President, and once the President approves of these recommendations, they can also give the guidance to the National Task Force, West Philippine Sea.
So all decisions will come from the NMC?
Yeah, that it is a collegial body that will submit recommendations for the approval of the President.
Okay, right. Because the EO did say that nakapaloob yung NTF West Philippine Sea dito sa bagong NMC. Having said that, as practitioners of the media, who do we look for nor who do we call pag meron kaming mga questions or clarifications? It would still be the task force.
Well, okay. The National Maritime Council has yet to be convened. So I already reported to the Executive Secretary who heads the council, and I have recommended that I'm doing this as my role being the Presidential Assistant for Maritime Concerns. And at the same time, as provided for in the executive order, I will head the office that will serve as a secretariat to the council. So I recommended that the newly organized National Maritime Council will convene soon and authorize the crafting of implementing guidelines. And this will also specify what needs to be organize what need to be done, and perhaps including who should be the spokespersons, for instance. We have already the National Task Force West Philippines spokespersons. Perhaps once the implementing guidelines is already done, then we would know what would be the new setup of our organization.
Okay, and General Centino, as we are all familiar with you as a former AFP chief, as we know, the Navy sometimes also assists in, especially of late, no, mas madalas sumasama yung Navy dito sa mga RORE missions, dyan sa disputed waters. In your opinion, talaga bang uminit, no, yung temperatura sa disputed waters now, especially since nag-change tayo ng administrations?
Well, I have stated this in one of the recent forums that I attended, and I said that my observation when I was still Chief of Staff of the AFP, the situation has kind of increased, perhaps, in terms of the aggression that were being done by the other side. We have observed an increase, perhaps, in the number of vessels being deployed to block and disrupt our resupply operations. Even also the distance from where they would start the blocking. When before they would be disrupting or block our resupply boats nearer the shoal. Now it's farther out. And we have also observed that the means or the ways that they do their disruption has also changed, and it has actually intensified. Whereas in the past they were merely challenging, they were perhaps blocking maneuvers, but this time around there are the maneuvers has become more dangerous. In fact, there were instances of their vessels ramming our boats. And perhaps the last two incidents were resulted in the injury to the passengers of Onaisa May, and of course the damage that was brought to the boat. So we can see that there have been an increase in terms of their actions to disrupt our resupply to BRP Sierra Madre.
With General Centino, of course, becoming a Chief of Staff in the administration of President Duterte, November 2021 to 2022. Yes. Oo. Ayan, yun nga po yung...
General, last question na lang. Apart from itong concerns natin sa West Philippine Sea, may iba pa bang marching orders, no? Yung Maritime Council, hindi lang naman yun yung karagatan natin, medyo marami pang iba. What else is on your, kumbaga, top of your to-do list, apart from, of course, the issues there in the West Sea?
Yeah, it's good that we have this new constitution of the Maritime Council. And because from there, and by the way, may I just share also that we have a forthcoming maritime zones bill that will be enacted into law.
Correct.
Hopefully, it gets to be passed. I was informed that it was already passed by the House and Congress, I mean, in the Senate. So we could see that this law would help us craft our maritime strategy. Now, it is important that we should be reminded that our maritime interest is not only in the West Philippine Sea. We have, on the eastern side, we have Benham Rice. In the north, we have Luzon Strait. In the south, we have Sulu Sea and Celebes Sea. So these are very important areas that we should consider also outside of the West Philippine Sea. And that's why we are anticipating the passing into law of this Maritime Zones Bill, so that this will pave the way for the crafting of our maritime strategy. And I would like to see that the creation of the Maritime Council will show a more deliberate action on the part of government, as considering that their meetings are required, and it's actually more frequently. So that is why we have confidence that in the implementation of this executive order will be successful.
Okay,
Sorry, can I just ask for clarification on that? What do you mean by more deliberate action?
As I mentioned, the composition is a cabinet level body, and it is headed by the executive secretary. Although we have additional members included in the council, and it meets more frequently than they were required before. So, of course, it helped that we have this ruling in 2016 that will also guide us in crafting our policies and strategies.
No, I guess what I was wondering was that what in the next run-in, and we know it will come, the next incursion, whether we will be changing strategy, we will be more deliberate versus, what's happening right now, which is usually we issue notes verbal to China. There's usually statements from both sides, and it stays there until the next incident, right? So I was wondering what you meant exactly by more deliberate. Are we getting bolder, more aggressive?
Well, I would say we are more resolute or determined to ensure that we assert our sovereign rights in that area. Let me speak as a former member of the armed forces of the Philippines. We have soldiers deployed there. And it's important that we are able to sustain, we are able to provision them, we provide them with the needed rations, the needed supplies, so that they continue to do their work. Imagine they are stationed in a very desolate and remote area, detachment, and they should be provided with the needed resources for them to continue doing their jobs. And that's why the President has said that we will protect these areas by all means, and that is what we are going to do.
By all means. Very good to hear that.
Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We do have a lot more questions. Hopefully, we can have you again for those. Former AFP Chief of Staff and Presidential Assistant for Maritime Concerns, General Andres Centino.
Right before we go, time for our big picture tonight. And we all know, I think, who this is. None other than former Senate President and real estate mogul Manny Villar, who remains the richest person in the Philippines with a net worth of $11 billion, or around 619 billion pesos in 2024. Manny Villar climbed to 190th place in Forbes' list, or latest list, of billionaires worldwide. His ranking went up 42 places from last year's 232nd place. Other Filipinos joining him in the list are ports operator Enrique Razon, San Miguel's Ramon Ang, the siblings of SM Investments, Lucio Tan, Alliance Global's Andrew Tan, Jollibee's Tony Tan Cactiong, Pure Gold's Lucio and Susan Ko, and JG Summit's Lance Gokongwei.
Wala na kasi siya sa politika, magastos yung politics.
But after niya mag-take a back seat from politics, he opened so many stores. Lahat ng all day, all home, all.
Yes.
Diba? Tapos yung coffee project, I think he was so busy. And I actually recently saw him. I bumped into him in a restaurant and he was so nice as ever. And he looked really happy and successful.
He always looks really happy. But what that list tells me is that in this country, you need to be in food, real estate, or infrastructure to become a billionaire.
Or all of the above.
Or all of the above. But food, they're all somehow related to infrastructure, food, or real estate.
Necessities.
In the world,
I guess.
If we have 619 billion
why
pesos.
Why don't we have tech billionaires, for instance?
Here in the
billionaires,
Philippines?
Yeah.
Well, it's a huge risk, high risk, high reward industry, right?
Yeah.
And it's really a big investment.
Bilang mga Filipino-Chinese tayo, ang kwento kasi dyan, para maging malakas ang business mo, hanapin mo yung boring product
na kailangan.
Na kailangan.
People cannot live without.
Yun.
O kaya nga.
Bahay,
Infra,
tindahan.
real estate, food, right? So still the basics, right? We haven't graduated to the level of,
Pero may casinos
birthing tech
birth.
billionaires,
I think we're
startup
still in
billionaires.
the, malapit sa sikmura types of
Correct.
businesses. Maybe in the next 20, 30 years.
Correct.